Big economic news, of course, this week is taxes, right? That big tax deal. We're all waiting for the details on Wednesday. Joining us now, Ed Feulner, Heritage Foundation President. Ed, if they come up with a compromise, an adjustment on state and local tax deductions, they still leave some other things up to help to pay for it. Now, they're dangling out 401ks, and it's making people nervous. What do you think?
I think SALT, state and local taxes, Charles, have got to be very much on the chopping block, and I'll tell you why. They're really a redistribution from the high-tax states to putting more of their burden on the low-tax states. And, of course, the people who itemize are really higher earners. So let's go back to what the president's been talking about in terms of making the system fairer, flatter, simpler, getting it on that one postcard and helping the middle-income people. SALT that's not where we should be going.
We had Representative Lee Zeldin on from New York earlier, and he said, listen, New York is a net big payer to Washington, D.C. They're not being subsidized. They're actually paying more than most other states, so why should they be penalized any further?
Well, they're paying more than most other states because there's more people who still live there and who still have to suffer under the incredible tax burden, both of Albany and particularly if they live in Manhattan. In New York City. Yeah, Lee, they do pay a lot of taxes, but that's because they've got inefficient and corrupt governments up there.
So there'll be some compromise on SALT. I don't think they'll take the whole thing away. Where do we find the rest of the money? And are you worried that do you want them tinkering with the 401ks?
Gosh, no. The 401ks are absolutely essential to the long-term future. Look, Social Security, going back to the time it was founded by FDR, has always been only a part of what people ought to be able to count on when they retire. 401ks, 403bs, all the savings programs that are out there have got to be continued. What we got to do, too, and I wish it always comes up separately, of course, when you talk about budgets versus taxes, we got to get a handle on the spending down here. That's really where the rubber meets the road, if you will, and that's where we really have to get working. But taxes, I'm very optimistic about where we are and about what the Group of Six is going to come out with, and particularly from both Ways and Means and the Senate Finance Committees on Wednesday.
Of course, it would have been more elbow room, if you will, more math room, if they had gotten something done in health care. The Alexander Murray plan was scored by CBO, and they suggested that, hey, this would actually lower the deficit. It could buy the nation 2 years. Where's Heritage stand on something like that, maybe being interjected to buy time economically and also to buy time for a feasible replacement for Obamacare?
Yeah. Part of the problem is that they really kind of blew it on the Hill when they missed the first time around, when McCain caved and did not go along with the first repeal and replace. But that's kind of ancient history. The question is now, how do we patch it up? How do we get from where we are right now to where we want to be? And where we want to be is to get rid of some of these incredible structures that have been put in place in terms of subsidizing insurance companies, in terms, yes, of buying some time so we can get out of the hole we're in, right, so that we can go back to letting people pick their own plans.
Yeah, that'd be novel. Ed, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Charles and Steve.